The community here in the Falklands have been eagerly awaiting an update from FIG on what the next steps will be for telecoms, which could bring significant changes to the way internet services operate. The first Falkland Islands Telecommunications Select Committee was formed last year after a petition was submitted to Legislative Assembly on the 11th of July 2024. During the final meeting, the Select Committee made several key recommendations to the government regarding VSAT licence fees and policies. These recommendations include reducing the VSAT licence fee from £5,400 per year to a provisional £180 per year by February 1st, 2025, reviewing the 2016 FIG policy principles by April 2025, considering different licence fees for businesses and individuals, maintaining the rest of the 2016 policy until the review is complete, ensuring applicants can prove that existing services through Shaw are inadequate, confirming that any Starlink or other provider applications will follow the Communications Ordinance.
The 2016 policy principles require that the VSAT licence fee should act as a disincentive to operate outside the exclusive licence arrangements set up in the public interest. The intention is that a provisional VSAT licence fee of £180, together with the cost of the necessary equipment and the Starlink subscription, would still act as a disincentive for the majority of Shaw users to self-provide broadband provision by utilising Starlink. By suggesting a provisional fee at this level, the committee does not believe that self-provision outside the exclusive licence regime will disadvantage the general public interest.
FIG has now received a draft report from consultants Cambridge MC, analysing the impact of reducing the licence fee. The report warns that lowering the fee without revising the underlying policy could create legal challenges, as current policy discourages self-provision of services. The Communications Regulator will not progress any new visa applications until at least April the 1st. Meanwhile, discussions with Starlink are ongoing, and legal advice has been sought regarding the framework for issuing licences. I spoke to Communications Regulator Chloe Freeman in November to find out why visa applications approval has been paused.
Now, I made that decision for a few reasons. Firstly, to give myself time to respond to the Select Committee's recommendations and to engage with the people who live here and use the services, Shaw and Starlink, to see what framework could be developed to allow for legal and licensed Starlink usage in the Falklands. That's currently not possible. Starlink isn't licensed to operate here. I have to say, since I arrived in October, people haven't been really applying for VSAT licenses. I think that's because the cost is very high and people are waiting until the cost goes down.
Existing licences will remain unchanged, but new policies and fees will apply upon renewal. The government anticipates high demand for licences and will implement a process to handle applications efficiently. Discussions with Shaw will also continue to assess the impact on service provision. Guidance notes were published in 2019 to advise those applying for a VSAT licence, but the regulator has deemed them to be outdated. The guidance sets out that licences are available only in exceptional circumstances, without defining what an exceptional circumstance may be or what evidence needs to be provided.
If there isn't a common understanding between Falkland Islands Government, myself, the people and Shaw over what an extenuating circumstance is and what level of evidence needs to be provided, then we're going to be in a lot of hot water again, because one person's extenuating circumstance isn't another person's. And that's not a decision that I feel comfortable making with the level of information that I've got at the moment. You know, a big part of being a regulator is being able to be consistent in your decision making and proportionate in your decision making. And I feel like without a common agreement on what is or isn't enough evidence, I could make decisions which are inconsistent and would be unfair both to residents and businesses, but also to Shaw it's important that we have their buy-in in this process as well.
Improvements to the services provided by Shaw South Atlantic have been ongoing. The introduction of a low Earth orbital service was intended to be one of those. The service was expected to be introduced in the summer of 2023 and was anticipated to reduce latency, allowing for cloud-based systems to be used by the consumer. However, the system is still not operational. In this year's first meeting of the Legislative Assembly, members vocalised their frustration with Shaw and the OneWeb project being consistently delayed, highlighting how FIG will be seeking reimbursement and that they are in discussions with Shaw to understand what has gone wrong.
Shaw and FIG have regular contract meetings directed through development and commercial services, and the compliance with the contractual obligation to provide LEO services has been raised via these meetings. FIG is currently in commercial discussions with Shaw to understand the failure to introduce LEO services and to ensure FIG receives reimbursement for funds it has directed to Shaw to provide these services, which are now over a year late. If no commercial agreement is reached, legal solutions will be considered.
Wouldn't he agree that we have a solution, which many people have turned to, which is the LEO service that's provided by Starlink? Although we have a prohibitively high licence fee, and actually bringing that fee down would enable consumers in the Falklands to enjoy LEO services. And I think, as per the recommendations of the Select Committee, I think the sooner we get on with pushing that forwards, the sooner consumers in the Falklands will benefit.
A timeline of what we can expect in the coming months was released this week. In February, Executive Council will decide on policy changes and new licence fees. In March, a public consultation will take place if changes are approved. In April, any amendments will go to the Legislative Assembly for formal approval, with new regulations taking effect upon publication. On the 5th of February, Shaw released a statement reaffirming their commitment to the Falkland Islands. In it, Chief Executive of Shaw Falkland Islands, Roma Stewart, states, Shaw remains the sole authorised and regulated provider of telecom services in the Falkland Islands, a responsibility that we take incredibly seriously, as we recognise the importance of connectivity as we all lead increasingly digital lives. We invest millions of pounds annually to provide the services our customers need. We have been collaborating with the Falkland Islands Government, their consultants, the Communications Regulator and the Attorney General to address the Select Committee's recommendations. Whilst those recommendations are incongruent with Shaw's licence and obligations, we are in good faith committed to addressing the Select Committee's concerns as best as we can and finding a positive solution for islanders. The community now awaits February's meeting of EXCO to hear if any policy changes are to be approved. With big changes potentially on the horizon, the coming months will be crucial in shaping the future of satellite broadband access in the Falklands.